If you have decided to buy a camera, the salesperson would ask you, do you need an APS-C or a full frame camera? APS-C or full frame refers to the sensor size of the camera. Full frame sensors have a dimension of 36mm x 24mm and APS-C sensors have a dimension of 25.1mm x 16.7mm. But there is some other thing that you need to know about these sensors. Now, let's get into the video. Before we talk about the advantages and disadvantages of each of these sensors, let's talk about how these sensors originated at the first place. Full frame sensors get their dimension from the classic 35mm film roll, which has a dimension of 36mm x 24mm. APS-C or Advanced Photo System Type C sensors get their dimensions from the Advanced Photo Systems film roll, which again has a dimension of 25.1mm x 16.7mm. Now first, let's talk the advantages of full frame sensors over the APS-C sensors. Let us consider a full frame sensor and an APS-C sensor both having a 20 megapixel resolution. Since the size of the full frame sensor is larger than the APS-C sensor, the size of the pixels in the full frame is comparatively larger than the size of the pixels in the APS-C sensor. Larger the sensor size, more it is sensitive towards light. Hence, full frame cameras have better night mode and dynamic range. Another important advantage of full frame sensors is that the field of view is larger. Now let us consider that we have paired a 35mm prime lens with an APS-C and a full frame camera. In a full frame camera, we would get the full 35mm field of view, whereas in the APS-C camera, since the sensor size is small, we would get a crop factor of 1.5x. Now if we multiply 35 by 1.5, we get a 52.5mm field of view, which in general terms means that we are just cropping out the edges of our frame. The next advantage is that the full frame camera has a huge variety of lenses compared to the lenses available for the APS-C sensors. Now let's talk about the advantages of the APS-C sensor over the full frame sensor. Firstly, the APS-C cameras and lenses are a whole lot cheaper compared to the full frame ones. In some cases, the cost of your full frame lens may even exceed the cost of your camera. Secondly, an APS-C camera would be smaller in terms of size and weight compared to the full frame ones, hence it will be easier for handling. Depth of field will be higher in APS-C than in full frame cameras, which means more objects would be in focus if you use the same given aperture in both these cameras. So if you use manual focus, nailing focus would be much easier in APS-C cameras. Now let's talk about which camera would be perfect for which category. If you shoot landscapes, architecture, portrait photography, night photography, or if you need superior image quality, you need to go with full frame cameras. If you shoot macro photography, wildlife photography, sport photography, you need to go with an APS-C camera. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so far.